No. Welcome back to our YouTube channel. Happy New Year, everybody. Um, we are super excited to be back after a very long break and to be sharing some tips and tricks as to how to prepare for your school applications and visa applications. In this particular video, we want to give a special focus to students who are undergraduate students, fresh high school graduates who are looking to traveling abroad and pursuing their undergraduate studies abroad. And we want to focus on especially preparing for the visa. So, what are some of the things that you should be thinking about as you get ready to apply for the visa and attend your visa interview, especially those of you thinking about the USA? What are some of the things that the viewer expects? How should you prepare? What are some of the questions you should be thinking about? And how to generally prepare for your USA F1 visa as an undergraduate student, right? We have so many other videos in the past that may also apply to you. So if you like, you can preview that. But this particular video is specifically for you, the undergraduate student coming out here. And of course, as you can see, Alfred is here. So we're going to get into the video. Alfred, welcome back.
Thank you, Paul, and Happy New Year to everybody.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So today we're going to talk about undergraduates, right?
Yeah. So let's go right straight into the thing. What are some of the how different is the undergraduate visa preparation, especially for F1, from graduate visa preparation? Are they different? Are they the same? Are they similar? Let's start from there. What do you think, Alfred?
Yeah. So I think in terms of rules, they are all the same, but because they are all under the F1 visa category, right? So they're all non-immigrant visas and F1 category. So whether you are coming for undergraduate studies or community college, that is associate degree, or master's or PhD studies, or even whether you are coming from high school here in the US, the same rules apply, right? Your ability to first of all demonstrate that you are a genuine student, you have an academic reason of travel, right? You want to travel to the US mainly because you want to study and studies alone, nothing else. That's the first important rule. And you must also be able to demonstrate that you have enough money. The money is available, the money is credible, and the money will be accessible, right? So that is also important. You have enough money to take care of yourself, because if you are coming to study, then you must be able to pay tuition, living expenses, books, insurance, and any other thing that is associated with your studies. And finally, because of the type of visa you are applying to, you must be able to demonstrate that you return to your home country after your studies. So irrespective of the class of studying you are coming to, whether at the master's level, doctoral level, or undergraduate level, you have to meet these requirements. But the process of meeting these requirements might differ, right? The focus might differ based on who is the level that you are applying to. And today we are going to focus on the students who are applying for undergraduate studies.
It's very good that you gave us a recap of the three major laws and rules and policies that govern the F1 visa, which is number one, purpose. Number two is funding. Number three is ties to home country, which may mean different things. Right? It's very good you gave us a good recap of that. But you started by saying something that's important, which we are going to try to focus on for this video, which is depending on your level of education, the way you go about proving your eligibility as it fits these three rules is going to be different. And that's where the difference between a master's student and a bachelor student and a PhD student lie. Okay, so now let's take each of these major rules that govern the visa process and try and see how that would fit the undergraduate student who is, let's say, for instance, coming to do a bachelor's in biology. What are some of the things the student should be thinking about when it comes to purpose of travel or intent of travel? Let's start from there and then we can move to the other two.
Yeah, so I think, Paul, before I get directly into that question, one thing I would say is that comparing to other levels, master's, doctoral, and undergraduate studies,
Mm-hmm.
it is always easy to get a visa if you are coming for undergraduate studies because of a lot of factors such as your age, right? Most people who come for undergraduate studies are most at times below 20 or just after 20, and they are still depending on their parents and they are still forming their academic interest. So when I say process in proving these important rules and what the consulars expect, they have that in mind, that the way a 20-year-old student will articulate his or her research interest will be different from somebody who is coming for advanced studies such as masters, because at the undergraduate level you are now exploring, you are most at times following your passion, something that interests you, something that you want to explore, you want to do, right? So maybe during your high school time, you were interested and passionate about aerospace engineering. You might not have any specific reason or specific thing you want to do, but it's
But it's
something that
allowed.
excites you, yeah, right?
Yes. At the undergraduate level, it's allowed for you to be shallow, not super specific.
Yes,
Passion is enough,
yes,
and that
yes,
makes it easy to explain and to prove.
yes.
Good.
Yeah.
That's a
So
very good bonus point.
yeah, so when you go for the interview and the consular is asking you, why do you want to study this program? It is easy as an undergraduate studies to impress the consular, because you are looking, you don't have to have a specific research interest, unlike master students, right? So
It's a
and
topic
for
even.
research topic. So for undergraduate students, you are looking at, as Paul said, what excites you, what is your passion, what basically you want to do, what career path you want to pursue. Maybe you are interested in nursing and you want to study bachelor's in nursing because that is what you are interested in. Of course, some people may have real life situations or experiences and exposures that make a specific decision, like that help them to make specific decision about a specific program, right? Maybe a student want to study biomedical engineering or medicine because he suffered a tragedy in the family with healthcare, and he believed that as a science student he doesn't want to see that repeating, so he want to go into medicine. But basically what we are saying is that when you go for the interview as an undergraduate studies, it is okay to talk about what excites you. Why, if the consular asks you, why do you want to study this program, it is okay to talk about your passion, the things that excite you and what you want to do. Unlike a master student who must have a specific reason, especially if you are coming to study a research-based program, right?
Yeah.
You must have a specific reason why you want to pursue this research. Every research is directed towards a problem, right? If there are no research problems, there are no thesis, right? So your research,
and there are no researchers eventually.
exactly, right? So for undergraduate studies, you have the leverage, you have the opportunity to explore and be genuine to the consular about why you want to study your program, and they know and they understand that at that point you are now thinking about your life journey, your school. You might not even be sure about the course, but you just want to explore it.
That's good. That's a very good big bonus tip. Let's go into the core of the questions that like people should be expecting. For instance, the example that I started with, when a student who is thinking about biology, for instance, what are some of the things that they should be thinking about? Some of the questions, general questions, without getting so much into the details that will confuse them. But what are some of the general questions that they should expect as far as the intention to study or the purpose of the studies is concerned?
Yeah. So when you go for your undergraduate studies interview, right, the consular want to know who you are, right? Your background, your high school major, right? So they may ask you, why do you want to study this program?
Yeah.
And they ask you because they want to know basically what is motivating you, which we just talked about, right? They want to know why you chose this school. There are lots of schools in America. Specifically, why did you choose this school? And sometimes answering that question can be tricky. But for undergraduate studies, it might not necessarily be a faculty you want to work with. It may be the school culture. It may be the environment. It may be the fact that you have an uncle in that city who you believe will help you settle, right? Because most undergraduate students, as I said, are less than 20. So it is not bad to say that I chose this school because I have a family, I have an auntie, I have an uncle who lives in this area, and I believe that as a person new to the American culture, they will help me settle. It may be about the diversity of the program or of the school. Maybe the school have a lot of black people. The school have a lot of Hispanic people. The school is very diverse in its nature, and you believe that you can assimilate and you can feel in, like you will be comfortable. So think about that. Think about why you want to choose a certain school, because the consulate will ask you, and the consulate will also ask you, how many schools did you apply to? What is tricky here is that for an undergraduate student, one application click can be sent to thousands of schools.
Using the common app
Yes.
application, yeah.
Yes.
And there are
Yes.
other applications too. So
Yes.
yeah.
So if you appear for the interview and the consular asks you why did you, how many schools you applied to, it is okay to tell the consular that you applied to as many schools. I remember one Kenyan student who came and for coaching, and she applied to 20 schools. And she told me that when I go and they asked me, I'll say I'll apply to 3 schools. I said, no, just tell the consular the number of schools you apply to.
That's
Because
good. Yeah.
yes, undergraduate programs are also competitive, and because of funding, you have to expand your application net as wide as you can, right? So think about questions like that. Why did you apply to this school, right? And sometimes one important question is, what classes will you be taking? And the consulars ask this because they want to know how you have prepared, how much you have prepared to read about the program and about the school that you are coming. So before you go for your interview, take a general overview. Go to the school's website, look at the curriculum, look at the program requirements, and look at some of the programs that you will be taking in your first year, second year. Just have understanding of the entire program structure. And I think these are some of the specific questions that the consulars ask about why your purpose of travel, and they do that. Yes, they do that because they want to know whether you are a genuine student. Of course, there are some people who really want to travel because they have a family here and their family is trying to use studies as a way to bring them. The consulars want to avoid that. They want to bring genuine student, people who really want to study, because that is what the visa is for. Yeah. If you are coming in and your intention is not to study, you are blocking the chance of a genuine student. So the consulars are there to make sure that you have a very clear purpose of studying. Well,
fantastic. That's a really good lineup of questions for F1 undergraduate students to think about, especially when it comes to your intention to study. Now, let's go to the other two very quickly. The other two sets of questions. There's always something about funding, right? There's always something about how you're going to support yourself. And we have said countless times on this platform that, if you are even if you prove complete genuine interest to study, if you are not able to demonstrate that you have the means to support yourself, you still genuinely don't qualify, right? That's how it works. So walk us through some of the questions that they ask to sort of establish your ability to support your education. What are some of the questions?
Yeah, so Paul, I think it will be good to start from what the consulars expect and what you must expect. You must really understand this aspect of the interview. You are coming to study in America, and you have to pay tuition. You have to pay so many things, right? So it is the consular's duty to make sure that you have money, not just to grant you the visa, but to ensure your own safety, to ensure your own well-being. Because if you are admitted to a school in America and you are not able to pay your tuition or whatever expenses, how are you going to survive, right? It's like it's something you don't want to get yourself into it, right? So consulars are looking for people who can prove that they have available funds, right? Available funds means the funds are liquid, right? Liquid means they are accessible. It's like a current or a savings account, readily available, not an investment or a fixed deposit account or
a
share
land that you have in your village.
Exactly. Right. So think about it that way. That is what the consulars are looking for. And for undergraduate studies, it is sometimes easy
lot
uh,
easier. It's a
a
lot
lot
easier.
easier to prove funds. First of all, some undergraduate students get some form of scholarship from the school, right?
Yes.
So scholarship is the first important and most easily to
Yes.
prove funds, right?
Yes.
So if you have your scholarships, that's the first thing you need to talk about in the interview. The next one is who is paying for the rest, or if you didn't have scholarship, who is paying for your
Other
studies?
sponsors that you may
Other
have in your
sponsor.
life, around your
Yes.
life, and all that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And for undergraduate studies, the responsibility does not lie on you. It lies on your sponsor, right? Because most undergraduate studies, as I said, are below 20,
They're
younger.
yeah.
They are younger and they are dependent. It means they depend on their guardian, they depend on their parents, they depend on their brothers, they depend on their sisters, and they basically have no responsibility towards their studies.
Neither
So
is everybody expecting them to even have that responsibility.
exactly.
Because
Yes.
you
I'm
know,
like, if you come to me as a consoler, 18-year-old after high school, and say you have $15,000 saved in your bank account, then you must prove how you save that money, how you work to save that money, right? So
but
basically,
if you
what we
say it's your brother who gave you that $15,000,
yes,
it's most likely believable because you're relatively young. Everybody
yeah,
expects you to be taken care of
yeah,
by somebody, right?
yeah,
So I get your
and
point. That's a very
yeah,
good point.
and Paul, the reason why, if you look at the statistics from the US, recent statistics, it shows that especially even in Africa, let's take Ghana as a case study, more undergraduate visas are issued even than PhD and masters. So if you combine masters application and PhD application issuance of visas, if you add them, they wouldn't be up to the number of visas that have been given to people who are coming for undergraduate studies.
Right.
The reason is that for undergraduate studies, it is easy to prove funding. You just have to let them know who is paying for your studies. My father is paying for my studies. My father is, for example, maybe the engineer of this company, and he is responsible for my studies, right? Yeah. So what I'm saying is, Paul, is all that you need to do is to prove that the one sponsoring you has the money to sponsor you, and you take yourself from the responsibility. But for a master's student, you cannot be 35 years old, 40 years old, 32, 28, 29. You are married, you have 2 kids, and you say your father, your mother, your uncle is sponsoring you. You see, it's not like you can't, but it doesn't make sense. Compare me, right, saying that, oh, I'm coming to do my master's and I have to prove a fund of 40,000. I am married, I have a kid, and my father is sponsoring me. Then compare an 18-year-old guy who is like, I'm coming to do my bachelor's. The money I need is 40,000. My father is paying. If you are the consoler, which of these two people will you take seriously, right? Right. Let's turn the argument to say, when I attend the interview, I say, okay, I am 30 years old. I've been working for 5 years after my undergraduate, and I have saved $15,000 towards my studies. The rest will be paid by my father. Then think about the same story, right? In this case, I am highly responsible for my education at this point. At this master's level, I am highly responsible. I am working.
Independence, you're showing responsibility.
Yes.
And taking initiative towards your own education. So in that case, it's believable if you make a
Yes.
case and say that you are the one sponsoring, or you are part of the key sponsors in the profile. That's solid.
Yeah. Yes, but that is not the case for an undergraduate studies. Undergraduate student. It's different. All right. You just have to prove that your father, your mother, your uncle, or whoever is willing to support you and sponsor you in that regard. Right. Yeah.
So in that case, then you've talked about scholarships as being one of the source. You've talked about family being one of the source. I'm sure government, because some of the really brilliant in the undergraduate students get sponsorships and scholarships from government.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them get it from institutions that maybe their parents are part of that have benefits. I know some professors across Africa have privileges that extend towards their awards. Maybe they're a senior professor, and because of that, their first child or second child's scholarship, school fees is going to be paid for. So all those aspect of sources can also be part of the scholarship or the funds that you need to demonstrate to be able to get your visa in that regard. Some of the key questions I presume then will be like who is funding or who is paying for your education or who is paying for your deficit or how are you funding your education. Really, really straightforward questions that would get you to talk about where the money is coming from, basically. Right? Am I right?
Yes, yes, yes.
Good.
That's it. Yeah.
Okay, good. Let's go to the very last part of the whole process then, which is demonstrating connections home and intentions of a non-immigrant, right? Remember,
Yeah.
the F1 visa is a non-immigrant visa. And so one of the key aspects that you need to demonstrate is that your intention is one of a non-immigrant, right? So what are some of the questions, what are the expectations, and what are some of the questions that a VU would sort of throw at you as an undergraduate student to make sure that you are not lying to them?
Yeah, so Paul, I think this in this section too, students coming for undergraduate studies have advantage in proving their ties to home. And in this case, we are still looking at the concept or the idea that most undergraduate students are relatively younger, right?
Yeah.
We are still going through like having that as our hypothetical understanding or statement. There are some people who are coming for undergraduate studies and they are 29, 30. That is not a normal situation. Like, but we are talking about in the under the normal circumstances, right? So if you are younger, it means that you are dependent, as I said, and it means that you are highly connected to a family system. Every 18-year-old has a family or has a guardian, somebody who is directly linked to the person. It could be your father, it could be your mother, it could be your guardian, it could be your stepmother, it could be your brothers and sisters. So consulants,
your church, your whatever friends,
Yeah.
somebody of authority overseeing you.
yeah,
Expected.
yeah. So consulants know that when you are in the US, you don't like you feel homesick. The drive to go home is very high.
Even
Because-
the adults feel homesick, Alfred.
Yes, even the adults feel homesick, but it's more in the younger ones, because at this point of your life, you are still young and your social connection is directly linked to your parents. It's directly linked to your family. So it is okay to prove, and it's easy to prove to the consoler that you are coming to school, and after school you are returning because you have all your family home, right? So for undergraduate studies, social ties is important in proving ties to your home country. Social ties. And if you look at the entire process, even from funding, we could see an element of social tie because somebody is directly taking care of everything about you, right? But if you compare social tie in the concept of somebody who is coming from masters, for example, I'm 30 years, I'm coming from masters, I'm not married, right? I'm single, or even I have a girlfriend. Even though my parents are home, I have gotten to a point that I don't depend on my parents. I'm getting to a point that I am beginning to build my own social tie, right? That is why most graduate students, when they go for the interview and they are not married, or when people who are a little bit older go for their interview and they are not married, they are refused a visa. Because, of course, you have your parents in your home country, but your parents are at this point not primary you are not primarily depending on your parent. But unlike an undergraduate student who is primarily depending on their parents for almost everything in their life. And Paul, the truth is that in most cases, parents will not allow their 18-year-old children to be in the US for over years without coming home or without they visiting them. But I can be here in the US for 10 years. My parents, it's not like they don't care, but they know I can take care of myself.
You're an adult, basically.
Yes, I'm an adult.
You're expected to be an adult,
Right.
Yes.
So when you go for the interview, it is easy to prove social ties for undergraduate studies. You can also use your academic interests, what you want to do after school and all that to say, oh, I'm coming to study IT and I'm focusing on technological innovation after school. I'm hoping to work with Ministry of whatever in Ghana. That is also a simple way to demonstrate your
In
ties to
fact,
your home
I
country.
think for me, my you know me and my interests. But
Uh-huh.
I strongly encourage all applicants, all whether you're PhD and masters, bachelors, to focus a lot more even on their academic interests and their
Yeah.
plans after school, their professional plans after school.
Uh-huh.
They should prioritize that because I think that those things make more impression
Yes.
on anybody who is interviewing you far more than saying I have a wife that I'm coming to, I have a sibling that I'm coming to, I have a grandmother that I'm coming to, or a mother that I'm coming to. You know,
You
those
can
ones
say
are
that, but
helpful.
as you're saying,
They're
that shouldn't
helpful,
be the
but like
primary.
yes,
Uh-huh.
and it's purely me, right, and the way I think about the process. You know, so I think if you foreground your own passions and your own professional dreams and your professional goals and your professional ties, you know, and what you want to do, maybe the business you want to start, the mentorship you want to do, the uh, training center you want to establish, the hospital you want to build, the church that you want to lead, or you know, any professional plans that you have that includes your own country. I think for me, those ones come first. So I'm really excited when you mentioned that that's one of the options. I would encourage you to put that first, and then you can mention other things that you are also interested in doing. Right?
They will ask you, they are always interested in what are your plans after school. Likely, most likely, they will ask you. But in most cases, as based on how we prepare our students for interview, right? Sometimes there's no need for you to allow the consular to ask you those questions because you make that information available. We are able to prepare you to make that information available to consular for decision making because it is not all the consulars uh, who have the time to go through all the questions, and no, most of them ask one or two questions and they make decisions. So you must make sure that as soon as possible you try
Bring it
to
up.
bring it up, right? And you can do that when you perfectly prepare well strategically and you get a very good coach who is able to do that and who is able to connect you and help you build a very good case. I always say that the visa application process is simple, but it is not easy. You need to have a very good plan, a very good technique, and we must be well prepared because look at it this way. The interview, most cases, do not last more than 2 minutes. The consular is used is like based on 2 minute interactions to make a decision. Sometimes, in most cases, it is not fair to the student. However, the consulars cannot do any other thing because they have a lot
It
of
is
people.
what it is. It
Yes, they
is
have a
what it
lot of
is.
people to serve. They cannot spend 10 minutes or 5 minutes on you. So it is pa, pa, pa. But it is you who have to lead the interview. You don't have to give that opportunity to the consular. You have to lead the interview in order to get your visa. And these are things you can do well if you are well prepared. You get a good person who understands the rules, who can help you build your story in a way that will be compelling and that will be touching.
Sometimes they will ask you about your family. Do you have relatives in the US? Do you
Yeah.
have siblings? You know, these family related questions is all in the third category of demonstrating your intention as a non-immigrant. Well,
Yeah.
I think we've said enough for this particular section. We have something about purpose and intent. We have something about funds. We have something about plans and goals after school. I think that wraps it all perfectly well. And keep browsing this channel for further videos, and we will see you in another video right here on this channel.